I never was a regular on a show. So when you're the guest, you're on eggshells. Like you can't flub a line. You want them. You're auditioning all week, first to get the part, then at the table read, then every run through. And so I never felt like a big success because it's always like, oh, I hope they bring me back. I hope I didn't mess up.
This is part of the reason why I think you worked so much because a lot of times people will get the job and they'll go to the table read. They're like, I got the job. And then they're not back, the next day.
Even
kind
a
of thing.
series regular, you can't get too comfortable. I mean, how many times does one kid become a different person in another season?
I knew I was had a job and on the show when it had gone 2 seasons.
Oh, see, my joke is, has it come out on DVD and am I still in the DVD?
Okay, well, there you go, Jen.
Well, yeah, I always was a guest, envied, you're doing it, and then you see them getting the script for the next show, and I'm back on the street. I felt like it was a foster kid going from home to home, hoping one keeps me on.
Well, okay, so let's go to Wizards for a second. Now, were you offered the part?
Yes.
Did you go in and audition? Did you know Peter Marietta? What was the catalyst? Take us through your Wizards first episode.
Well, I think a few years before, there was a part they wanted me to audition, and I didn't want to. I didn't know how big Wizards was. I was kind of burnt out to auditioning. When I had a string after my guest spot on Seinfeld, I was getting guest spots without auditioning.
If I may interrupt you for one moment. Back in the day, it used to be people knew who you were. There were the higher ups, and you were on a list, and they were like, "Oh, Fred's great. We know him." And then it changed, and you would get offered parts, and then it changed, and like huge stars had to start auditioning again because, in my opinion, the higher ups were kids, and they didn't know who we all were.
Well, also another thing, again, you're good with comedy history. In the heyday, there were sitcoms on every network, every night of the week. There was a time they had must-see TV. They had Monday must-see TV. They had Brooke Shields' show. Nancy McKean had a show. I did it. So every night there were sitcoms. This is before, reality shows, game shows, Nightline.
Sitcoms were the thing.
It was literally like talk shows at the end of the day and then sitcoms leading up to it.
Well, there was, remember... TGIF on ABC. I did Sabrina. They had now those would be on Nick. So there was so many more parts like Fred. We know he's the schmucky, nervous guy. Most of the parts I've gotten, I had no audition for, and if I had to have, I wouldn't have gotten it.
But auditioning too is hard. It's literally, I tell people, I'm like, auditioning is if you can do it in that environment, you can do it anywhere.
I did stand up. Everyone says stand up's the hardest. To me, auditioning is because every room is different. You can't figure it out.
Fred, when you're doing stand up, it's you. You're writing. It's all you. Yeah, you fuck up, it's over. It's you. You know what I mean? But when you're doing a show where you have lines, someone else gave it to you. It's your then interpretation.
Yes.
But back to Wizards.
Okay, so
you get a call.
So I get a call. They want you for 4 episodes, which, whoa, that's good because, 4 of...
You knew ahead of time? Disney never does that. They gave you the...
No, it was a 4-episode arc.
I understand, but they don't have to tell Fred.
That's true.
No. I think they asked my availability from what I remember, and then...
And that means this. You didn't book the job, everybody, but availability means we want you. We're not going to pay you yet, but we want to know if we do give you the job,
are you free?
If you're available.
Yes.
You're available.
Yeah.
So... I, for a while, I poo-pooed these Nick Disney shows because there was one on Hannah Montana. They wanted me to audition for people I worked for 5 times without auditioning.
Yeah.
To be a moose. And I didn't want to be the middle-aged guy in a moose costume. Moose, moo, and all the bratty stars walking by. So sometimes when you're doing a kid's show, you're the weird middle-aged guy in a weird costume, and the bratty kids are walking by. I'm going to get to it. Wizards was amazing. Nothing like that. So yes. So from what I remember, sorry.
On Hannah Montana, you worked for them, and then they ask you to audition.
No.
It's a power play.
Well, first of all, these producers, I did like 6 episodes of Murphy Brown back in the day. I did Suddenly Susan 4 episodes. and they wanted me to audition to be a guy in a moose costume, and he's like a pathetic, I'm a moose, and so like if it's a Coen Brothers movie, yeah, I'll put on antlers and moo, you know, but for Hannah Montana, for people I've worked for, so I in this business, it takes a while to say I don't want to do it, so I would always lie, because wait, I'll tell you why, because like, when they want me to audition and I know I'm wasting my time, I'd always made up voiceover jobs. I'm not available because I've had agents where they go, you could turn down things if it doesn't feel right. And I go, okay. They go, oh, no more auditions for Fred. Oh, he just not good enough. You know what I mean? So they always say you could turn down stuff, but then if you do once or twice, like you're done with them.
Yeah.
So okay, so I Okay, so from
There's
what
so many things I want to say, Brad. I'm like, oh, I want to say that. Because something my dad would say to me is, when you're going to audition, put on makeup, walk in, and be like, "Hey, I got to get back to set."
Yeah.
You know,
well, he was Dom DeLuise, so it's different.
But let them
take
know
a vacation
that you're not
or let
available.
them know that you're not available.
Kind of
right,
thing.
but I was always afraid to say, I don't want to audition for this, when I knew I was wasting my time. I'm very good at that. And I know when I'm wasting my time, but I'd say, oh, I can't do it. And then they move things around. You can't lie.
Yeah, you
got to
like,
say,
I'm also not available at that day
and
either.
so then with the Hannah Montana, well, wait, I'm working in Canada. I went back to stand up. So I have eventually.
Did you do the moose?
No, I eventually did another part on Hannah Montana. Well, I'm going to segue into your show. So
let me say this. When Hannah Montana started, it's when Disney and Nickelodeon started doing their format of sitcom. Yeah. It's when sitcom on NBC and they were still happening, but Disney was revitalizing it. And one of the things that Disney that they did so well was, even if they wanted you and they knew you were going to have the part, they would have you audition, because then you would take scale. Then you would take a smaller part. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't ask for more money because you were like, yeah, I want the job. You know what I mean?
I always wanted the guys, don't make trouble with my agent. I'm going to ask for more money. No, they'll get mad. I was afraid.
I didn't know, because I had a child when I was 21. I didn't know that I could formulate a career. I just was like, I need a job.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I passed up on a job or an opportunity. You know?
I had done Hannah Montana, where it was the last year and Miley Cyrus didn't want to be there, and
I remember that set. They were all over.
Yeah, and I did some other kid shows, like Corey in the House wasn't
You did
fun.
Haunted Hathaways.
Yes. So when I went to your show, it was
you were a seasoned old creepy guy on kid shows already.
Yes. I always would play a lot the teacher, where they thought I was like Ben Stein, and everything is...
Ben Stein is from Ferris Bueller.
Bueller.
I have people who still say, clear your eyes. Like,
they think it's you.
I'm not Ben Stein, but I've done like 5 or 6 times a teacher where the joke is, talk slower, because it's really broad. Yeah. Hello, I'm excited.
Well, just, you made us laugh. I mean, everybody rewind 10 seconds here, and when you went... I'm a moose. It's funny, you know? And by the way, Fred, you manifested that, because earlier in the episode, you said, I looked at these character actors and I love that. I wanted to. That's what you did. That's what you've become.
I remember when I saw my therapist in New York, I said, I always like those 2-line guy parts. Who's that guy? I want to see more of him. He goes, you should have bigger dreams. So maybe I got what I wish for. Who's that little 2-line guy? Yeah.